Let me ask you a question. How many Gen Zs that were on the front line during the anti-finance protest that you'd say are now at a better position politically to advance, let's say, the revolution and be a voice for the younger generation and even the previous, let's point out the lives that were lost during all the protests from the anti-finance bill in 2024 to up to Sabasaba. How many Gen Zs you'd say were elected or selected to be cabinet or appointed to be cabinet secretary in various dockets? That's a question that I'm yet to receive or hear an answer, even from a little body, just whisper, hey, this is the response to that question. I have sat down with Caswell Oure on a live television show on a morning program, and I interviewed Caswell McCoy, and I remember we had some sort of like a fun segment where I asked him, what makes you happy as a young person who's been on the front line, and you've been very vocal. He said he will be happy when Ruto is out of office. And Caswell McCoy was swearing on his blood, he was swearing on his ancestors that he will ensure Ruto is out of office. What transpired next? I don't know. I have no idea. Also, when you look at some of the people that were appointed as cabinet secretaries, when there was that little bit that looked like a merging or a handshake, call it whatever you like. That's up to you. Everyone has an opinion, and so do you. How many of them you would say were part of the Gen Z movement? I'm looking at people like I'd say Morara Kebaso. Morara Kebaso has had his own brand of doing whatever he was doing, right? He was like almost, I don't know, a pro investigator, and plus, just a secret, he was doing what he was doing in bid to gain people's, say, support. And it looked like there was a bit of camaraderie when it comes to, I'd say, because the word was inject, some of the people that were standing up against the injustices that were happening, even though the feast of abduction, the tortures, and the forced disappearances were really strong and prominent, but Morara Kebaso weathered the storm, in as much as he also had his murky pitfalls and whatnot. Look at Wanjiru, is it Wanjiru Njiru? The lady from Kibra. I don't know if she's from Kibra or she kind of looked like she was leaning towards that side. And she was very passionate about what she was talking about, and just, whenever they'd come on television in that, group of Caswell Oure, look at Shakira Afula. I think Shakira has carved on her own path in a way that now she's part of the activism voices, and she's speaking and standing out on business and even helping. When you look at Joshua Okai, I think Joshua Okai was abducted at some point, and I interviewed him as well on a morning show. Hanifa Farsafi, what happened? In fact, what followed next is she's now being accused as one of the beneficiaries of the Gen Z finances. And I remember that time, the Gava was very, 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 very super forward to claim that, the Gen Z protests were funded or financed by the, what is it called? Ford Foundation from the United States. Only later on to realize that historically the Ford Foundation has played a pivotal role in Kenya's democracy and activism. So that again begs the question, who exactly betrayed Kenyan Genzs? What should have possibly happened when Baba called for a press conference and said that there need to be an intergenerational conclave? Is that what you guys needed? But look at the people who are appointed into government positions. Any of them who speaks a voice similar to the Gen Zs or the youth? Also another question, if the general elections were to happen today, who is the most, I'd say, best fit candidate who rings the alarm and sounds the bell that hits the heartbeat, the pulse, and the heart of the Kenyan Genz or the Kenyan youth who was part of the revolution? You want to tell me Boniface Kariuki, Alberto Juang, Rex Masai, plus hundreds of many others who were shot and killed on Sabasaba and the 25th of June? Yani hiyo damu ilienda tu hivyo. That's what you're trying to tell me. And that's why I'm telling you right now, I can 1,000% I can 1,000%, I'm starting to actually believe these things. That is true. Somebody was betrayed here. And you out there, stop being hypocritical. Now you're saying all this sugar spice and everything nice, all these good things, it's all kumbaya. But several months ago, y'all were standing on business saying Baba betrayed Kenyan Genz. Now all you're doing is just, serenading. That just shows the hypocrisy in us as a people. Another time you're speaking well of highly of a person. When they do something, I think that's a prime representation and a demonstration of it's only corruption when it doesn't benefit you. But if it does, ni mtu wetu. And that's why we must cease from the politics of mtu wetu, because mtu wako will betray you. They will be twisted. And they'll lose. I don't know what happens to like leaders when they get into office. They lose their sense of consciousness and just they become monstrous. All of a sudden the lines of communications have been annihilated. You can't even access them anymore. And you want to tell me somebody was not betrayed? Somebody must have been betrayed, and that somebody is you right over there. And you want to tell me that things are all kumbaya? I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. Now I'm starting to see it as a person who lost a loved one. I'm starting to see it as a person who was right over there and people are being shot at directly and the whole entire world was watching. Every media, in fact, statistics, and I work in the newsroom, said digital media was broadcasted like it how can I put it? Because it was an era where everybody was on a mobile phone, right? So it's not like you would say, oh, another station was biased in reporting the protest, so they lied. Everyone had a mobile cell phone and they recorded exactly and they were streaming exactly what was happening in the country. So you can't tell me that somebody was not betrayed. You'll be lying. Now that everything looks like it's shifting to the right direction and now people have cleaned up their act and everybody is so perfect and superficial, y'all are hypocritical. Let's say it and call it out as it is. Somebody was betrayed and it must be confronted, and we must lay that conversation wide open, naked on the table, because someone needs to be accountable. Unless we confront this, the systematic oppression and hypocrisy and abuse, and now they've signed all these acts to sanitize and shield and protect themselves, you will still hurt, and it's not just for this generation, for the next generations to come.